Hey YouTube, Kira Qualia here, bringing you all an update to my Cardfight Vanguard, Crossover or Nirvana Jiva deck profile for post-Illusionless Strife. We got some new support up to the release of the second Cardfight Vanguard Divines booster set. We even had a promo from the Fated Clash for the Nirvana deck, setting up more of our Crossover cards into our hand with both the use of the energy gauge for the new support we got from set 2 and then the added support as well. It's always very tricky trying to fit in all of the needed Prayer Dragon and Crossover support with this deck, but pretty happy with the build I've been playtesting as of late. So let's go ahead and get started with the deck profile. So for starters, we still have the energy generator comprising our ride deck with Surprise Egg as our starter. Our grade 1 is Heart Pounding Blaze Maiden Reno. When this unit's rode upon by Snuggling Blaze Maiden Rayu, search your deck for up to 1 Trickstar, call to rearguard, and shuffle your deck, giving you the first of your grade 0 Trickstars to use for Xoverdress. Our grade 2 is Snuggling Blaze Maiden Rayu. When rode upon by Chakrabarthi Phoenix, Divine Dragon, Nirvana Jiva, look at the top 7 cards of your deck, choose up to 1 Prayer Dragon from among them, reveal it, put it into your hand, and shuffle your deck, giving you the needed card also for your Xoverdress play, with our grade 3 of the ride deck being our Chakrabarthi Phoenix Dragon, Nirvana Jiva, along with the copy we run in the ride deck. 3 additional copies in the main deck as well, with this card having a once per turn on Vanguard ability of discarding a card from your hand, choose up to 1 Trickstar and up to 1 Prayer Dragon unit from your drop zone and call them to rearguard. And on Vanguard, when this unit attacks, you can counter +1, choose one of your rearguards, and it gets, if it's in the Crossover state, restood. So just more added pressure for your additional multiple attacks if the card that you restand with this ability is Blazing Holy Sword equipped Straw Virena. Then you have added plays to go off of, then more than just 1 restood rearguard attack, with your Crossover state being 1 Trickstar and 2 or more Prayer Dragons with different card names. So then you have more added setup thanks to your Straw Virena. You do have to invest a little more with the Prayer Dragons that you Crossover with this unit, but it's well worth it for some of the ones that you will Crossover with. And from the front row rearguard, during your turn, if this unit's in the Crossover state, this unit gets plus 10,000, and all your Vanguards with Nirvana and their card name get triple drive and plus 10,000. So you have this unit get plus 10,000, Nirvana Jiva attacking with plus 10,000, and the added triple drive for added drive check pressure. And on rearguard, when this unit is in the Crossover state and stood by your Vanguard's ability, if your opponent's Vanguard is grade 3 or greater, counter +1, stand all of your Talisman and Prayer Dragon rearguards. If this unit has 5 or more original dress, remove all markers from your opponent's rearguard and retire all of your opponent's rearguards. Well, not going to happen often. The all retire rearguard effect can come in handy if you have the Prayer Dragons to use for your original dress for this card. And for the grade 2s, 4 copies of Mirror Reflection equipped Mirrors Virena, having the added option to put other Crossover units with Virena in their card name from your drop as this unit's original dress. But when it attacks in the Crossover state, you can drop 1 of the original dress on this card with Virena its card name to either draw a card or countercharge 1, giving you hand consistency or just more counterblast to make use of thanks to this card also, just needing 1 Trickstar and 1 Prayer Dragon unit to do so. For more recovery options, also 3 copies of Sturdy Wall equipped Vils Virena. Honestly, I was considering dropping this down for an additional copy of Piercing Equipped Dragon Argneus. So if you wanted to, you could put in 2 copies of this and then an additional copy of Piercing Equipped Dragon Argneus when we get to it. But with this card having the additional shield and power when it attacks, if it's in the Crossover state, and then also being able to choose a Crossover ability unit from our drop, except for Sturdy Wall equipped Vils Virena, and adding it back to our hand. For the other grade 2s in the deck, 4 copies for our Prayer Dragon being Blazing Heavenly Render equipped Dragon Apargea. When placed on rearguard other than from the deck, you can Soul Blast 1, discard a card from your hand, search your deck for up to 1 Prayer Dragon, call to rearguard, and shuffle the deck. So just for the cost of discarding 1, you'll get the other Prayer Dragon, but then the play comes into the fact that if you use this card for an original dress, you draw a card, choose one of your card's outer dress units, and until the end of your opponent's next turn, it cannot be chosen by your opponent's card effects. Extra protection for keeping our Straw Virena on the field, so then our opponent will at least maybe try to attack into that unit to then have that card leave the field. For the grade 1s, for the new grade 1 Prayer Dragon, 2 copies of Piercing Equipped Dragon Argnaeus. When it's placed on rearguard during your turn or discarded from your hand during your turn, if you have a grade 3 or greater Vanguard with Nirvana and its card name, you can Energy Blast 3, choose a card with Xoverdress ability from your drop, and put it into your hand. So even just if you discard it for Jiva skill, you can call it back with Jiva skill, and then activate its skill regardless if it was placed on rearguard during your turn or discarded for the Energy Blast 3 ability, to then add the needed Xoverdress unit from your drop zone back to your hand. That's what I really like about this card for its play setup, which I can go over a quick play at the end of the video also. And then also when it becomes an original dress, you can Soul Blast 1 to counter charge 1, making up for some of your counter blasts also. 4 copies of Illuminate Equipped Dragon Growlumere, as well for the Soul Blast 1 to search the top 7 cards of our deck, choosing up to 2 cards with Irina and their card name, reveal them, putting 1 into our hand, and then discarding the rest, setting up our drop zone for other cards to use with Mirrors of Irina as well, and using this card. And then for the rest of the grade 1s, 1 copy of the new promo Blaze Maiden Cindy. Just with this card, if you have a grade 3 Vanguard with Nirvana and its card name, you can put it into the soul, choose an arms card or a unit with the overdress ability or Xoverdress ability from your drop, and put it into your hand. So more recycle power, very, very similar to our Argnaeus, but still building up soul instead of energy with it. And then when it's in the drop zone, when a unit with Trickstar or Trick Moon is placed on rearguard by your grade 3 or greater Vanguard ability, other than during the battle phase, if you do not have a rear card with the same name as this card, you may call it to rear. That's why I only run the 1 copy of this card. I feel like it's all you need, since you can just recycle it again when you Soul Blast, and then it's in the drop zone again. And then 1 copy of Crushing Equipped Dragon Katia Guard, just when it becomes an original dress, if your soul has no cards, Soul Charge 2. And then for the rest of the grade 1s, our Sentinel being Elementaria Sanctitude, and the 3 additional copies of Sparkle Rejector Dragon, just for the Sentinel of choice for the deck. And for the other grade 0s before the triggers, the 4 copies of Trickstar, just with the search off of the ride deck, then the additional ones that you can draw into. I know some people consider running this as the starter. That's just preference at that point. If you wanted to do so, that can be the spot to increase for the number of Argnaeus you may want to run in the deck also. And for the trigger lineup, we're going with the 7 criticals, so 4 copies of Burning Flail Dragon and 3 copies of Blaze War Monk Sokyu, with our next trigger being the draw, because hand consistency is a big thing to keep up in this deck. If you have Mirrors of Irina, that helps, but then this, as a damage check on your opponent's turn is also very, very important. With the last of our triggers being the 4 heals, the Blaze Maiden Rioni, and the overtrigger being the Drag Veda. Having to restand your Jiva is immensely powerful, because then the ability for the restand is not once per turn either, and neither is the option for you to then be able to use your Straw of Irina again as well, as long as you have the counterblast to do so. But the one play I do like in the deck, thanks to Jiva and the new Argnaeus play, let's say this is the only card in your hand, but you have the energy gauge to use it, so you use Jiva to discard it, and then use its skill to call the Trickstar and the Argnaeus back onto the field. You Energy Blast 3 for the Argnaeus, adding back your chosen card for your Xoverdress from the drop. So then you're able to Xoverdress thanks to this unit as well. If you have no counterblast, you can also use the Soul Blast if you have it for Argnaeus to give you a counter charge back as well, saving it for the draw power to be then used with your Mirrors of Irina. So from 1 card, you're able to recover, which is what I like now that this deck can do. But that is it for the deck profile. I hope you all enjoyed, and as always, until next time, please don't forget to leave a like and subscribe, and Kira Qualia out.